And as I said before, our guest is Gabriella. She's in Mexico. And Gabriella, the stage is yours. Go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Antonio. Hello to everybody. Can you hear me? Okay?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So before starting, I would like to ask you to breathe with me a few times. We all are here from different parts of the world. Some are in the morning, some are in the afternoon, some in the evening. And so I think it's a good thing. Before I start my sharing with you my thoughts for today, if you don't mind, just to sit or lie down or however you prefer in a comfortable position, and close your eyes if you prefer as well. And I would like to ask you to just breathe with me for a few moments. So breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe all out. Breathe in for a third time and let it all out slowly, slowly. So, thank you for coming today, this morning, tonight, this afternoon. It's a very personal share, the one I'm about to do with you. So I hope that you take it as such and you don't take anything personal. I'm a witty type of person, so sometimes I'm humorous. So just have an open mind. The very kind of imposing, difficult title is The Mysterious Spiritual Path of Womanhood. And I'm not sure I can stand up to it, but I hope that I will explain enough in what is my female universe and see if you have anything to ask, to say, or it might be helpful. I hope it will be helpful for you. So let's start with preempting the whole thing and explain a few things. So I was asked by Antonio, and very surprised, because he asked me if I wanted to do a talk for his group back in February. And I thought I didn't read the email properly. So we arranged to talk, just the two of us one day, because in the meantime, it's asked that I might be a pilot, browsing my website possibly. And I was surprised when he asked me to do that. I was surprised that he asked me already by email if I wanted to do a talk, but also he surprised me by asking me if I were, by any chance, a pilot. And I was, maybe I'm surprised easily, I don't know. I find out that he was also a glider pilot when we talked. And I find it difficult to believe, obviously, the coincidence, because there are not many glider pilots around. It's much more common to meet normal pilots, you know, those who fly in small planes, but gliders, not many. So we had a good chat about flying. I have to be honest, it was more of a monologue by Antonio, but rather than a comparing notes. But I have to confess that I grew used to that, having been in the flying environment for at least a decade or so. My last partner was also a pilot, so I know to just how it happens. So no offense to anybody, but it's just what pilots, male pilots, like to do. They just talk a lot about their experience. No disrespect, of course. So anyway, it was very good to talk about flying, and while I was listening, I was just remembering all these nice memories I had. But I was surprised because Antonio asked me if I wanted to do a talk. And to be totally honest, I thought about what? I still have my website up and running, which is flyinginspiration.com or .co.uk. But I am still debating if to let it go or just keep it up. As it happens in life, you know, sometimes it's difficult to make decisions. So I am still having this website, but since I moved to Mexico in 2021, the website actually is a portrait of my previous incarnation. And the purpose of coming here, it was to reinvent myself. So I haven't done any talk for a few years, and I didn't see the point of doing one. And so I asked him, well, then what I should talk about? And he said to me, well, don't you think, he might have looked at my website, so he said to me, don't you think that this subject might be interesting and important? So I reflected upon it and said to him that I would sleep on it and think about it. And I slept and slept and slept. And one day in March last month, I was sunbathing after my daily swim, and I just had this kind of clarity happening to me. And I thought, okay, I can do another talk after so many years. I'm on Friends, it's okay, it should be fine. So you must be those friends today. And I hope you're all good and have an open mind. So I also thought to expand the subject. I used to talk about the female cycle, but I thought to expand the subject a bit more because now I have a wider perspective about life and the female adventure. So I thought that the title, The Mysterious Spiritual Path of Womanhood, might be appropriate. Before I start sharing with you my life experience, I would like to make clear that I'm not an expert and never thought to be one, especially now in this historic moment when everybody is competing for that title and wants to be an influencer with a large following. I'm not one of those. I'm not really interested in being an expert, and I'm more like, or I feel more like a caterpillar in a cocoon phase in the process of transformation. So not really an appealing stage, I have to say. In fact, this stage could be called dissolution phase rather. So I haven't reinvented myself yet as for my purpose. As I said, I came to Mexico to reinvent myself, but this process hasn't happened yet, or at least totally. So I'm still in this mush stage. I'm not ready to come out of my cocoon completely, and I'm not a beautiful butterfly yet, I have to say. Having said this, I have to say that there is charm in every phase of life, and even if I am in the most appealing one, to share my experience with you, I think is important. I hope that maybe something of what I share with you might bring some light to your life. Either you're a man or a woman, and what I'm going to share is not offensive to either, as this is not my intention. I'm here just to share my life experience. You might have noticed that women and men are very different and see things in a total opposite way since we were born, and what makes sense to men is of no significance to women and vice versa. John Gray titled one of his books, Men Are from Mars and Women Are from Venus, and I think it was quite appropriate. Apparently, our body works in different ways because our brains are wired differently. Hence, our priorities are miles apart and our psychological development goes in opposite direction too. Maybe with all the hidden genetic manipulation that have been done to us as a species, these differences might come to an end one day, giving rise to a neutral society where the sacred female and male principles won't have a role any longer. But I don't think we are there yet, and I hope that our differences will survive. I will make this journey personal to avoid useless generalizations, pretending that my experience is pertinent to all women, which is not. So I will, even though at times I will say women or woman, I want you to keep in mind that is my personal experience. So let's start with this journey, with this female adventure. I would like to call the first phase the virgin or the innocence. This phase is characterized by total potentiality, individualization, and dreaming. This phase is the beginning of life for a woman. It is the big discovery of oneself and the world. Everything is marvelous and possible. A big adventure awaits the little girl. Nothing is bad or off limits. With the commencement of experiences and interaction with the family first and the world later, dreams start to form and being verbalized, especially if the outer environment is conducive to sharing and it is encouraging. If this is the case, the exploration may take off, and it can be a very satisfying phase for a young girl. Innocence is the prerequisite to make everything possible. It is what triggers curiosity and possibilities. Innocence and the power of dreams are an immense force of nature that pave the path to the discovery of oneself and the outer world too. The Virgin has in herself the beauty of being self-contained, self-initiated, psychologically self-sufficient, and self-validated. She is a real force of nature at its best. The Virgin sees boys and understands they are different from her, but they are many different components in her playground. They are not small people to be persuaded or conquer. They are simply bigger toys and strange tools to be explored. I would like to highlight the fact that innocence is fundamental for a proper, healthy personal development. This is a phase of exploration, therefore anything has to be considered and examined. Everything is valuable and interesting. Mental exploration is a big part of this phase and as valuable as the physical exploration any story can thrive in a girl's mind. Anything is possible, and it can be a possible trigger for adventure. The second phase is adolescence. And this phase changes the game for a girl as does for a boy too. So sexuality comes into the equation and complicates things. This explorative phase varies according to the education and conditioning that a girl might go through. Therefore, I will just share some reflection of my personal experience to be on the safe side. Sexuality could be a wonderful extra gear for the self-individualization process to take place, but you might all be aware how much interference and external control there is in this department of life. So I think we all did our best in this phase with the tools that we had at the time. To me, sexual energy is the strongest part of life. It's a life energy, and it could be a powerful tool in the second phase of a woman's life. But the culture we are born in can play such a big part in this phase and affect the full development of a girl. The start of the female cycle, also called menarche, is an initiation time and should be regarded as a sacred time that will define the rest of a woman's life. But these days, the female cycle is a taboo in our Western society. It is either diminished and reduced to a mere physiological process that needs to be medicated, kept under control, and considered a danger because a girl can fall pregnant, or it is simply ignored and maybe in the hope that if it's ignored, it will just go away. All this hush-hush approach makes the sacred psychological and spiritual sides of it be disregarded as not existing and just ignored. It's not everywhere the same. In many native cultures at this time, girls are celebrated with rituals of passage. But in our so-called modern society, we consider this type of celebration primitive and useless. And thus, girl, instead of starting being validated and appreciated, might interpret menarche as a strange, weird thing, feel embarrassed about it, and do their best to cover it up or ignore it to avoid drawing more attention upon themselves. And just to be honest and personal, I have to say that I experienced all this myself. This fact will have a big effect on the self-esteem of the future woman, and it is really unfortunate that the general attitude towards this subject hasn't evolved much, and with the woke movement of the last decade or so might even have made the situation worse than what already was previously. It definitely muddled the waters, to say the least. Going back to my personal interpretation of all of this, and to be authentic and truthful about what I'm sharing, I can say that even if I wasn't given much introduction by my mother about this, as it should have happened, I intuitively started writing in a little booklet the length of my cycles, as if my spirit knew that this part of my life had meaning and was worth noticing how it would unfold within time. And so it would be a good idea to write them down. As sexuality is the basic force of life and gives women the power to bear children, there is a huge unfolding of intuition that happens in a young woman's psyche. At this time, because now she has an extra gear in her toolbox, She ovulates and menstruates. So the inner intuition has a chance to unfold more and more within the future decades of her life or menstruating life. I didn't know about the adventure of the female cycle and her purpose in my life when it started in my adolescence years, but unconsciously, I think I explored it in my way, blindly, and was guided by my intuition and the power of nature, which cannot be underestimated. I discovered about the power of the female cycle only in my 40s, and what had matured in me unconsciously so far till my 40s, when I discover all that I am about to share with you, stood a chance of becoming all of a sudden conscious, and so many aspects of life started making sense to me. I started missing my cycles because I was emotionally stressed, because I was going through a divorce. And so I made a point to myself to find out why my body was talking to me in this way. And eventually I encountered a psychotherapist who explained the meaning of the cycle to me. And I had a aha moment in my life at that point. I was like finding a map or having a GPS to be able to navigate the labyrinth of life, knowing what to do and where to go to make my life simpler and more powerful at the same time. This is the time when I started sharing this knowledge with women to see if I could help somebody else who, like me, was blind, because our culture intently keeps us blind or away from this power, because a woman with this simple knowledge can be very powerful indeed and stop needing external validation. She gains a mind of her own and is unstoppable. To be practical and make things easier for you, I will share a diagram that I used in my workshop so that you might have a clear idea of what I'm talking about. So, give me a moment and I'm going to share with you my diagram. I compare the female cycle to the 4 seasons of the year because there is in fact a similarity between the two phenomena. I will walk you through the cycle itself and explain to you what happens in a woman's body. So I will start sharing the diagram of the 4th season with you. Okay. I hope you can all see it. So let's start from the season called the spring. This is the pre-ovulatory phase of a woman, and similar to the spring we are in at the moment, or at least in the Northern Hemisphere. I put few sentences just for you to have a better idea of what the energy is. I feel fresh and active. I need little sleep and enthusiastic. So the spring is a phase of expansion, energy, and enthusiasm. Very good to start projects or think about new things that we might want to unfold and develop. Then we pass to summer. It's the ovulation phase. Wait a second. Are you seeing my diagram or no? Maybe not. Wait.
Yes, but it's not in the full screen. Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's still in the full screen. Okay. So the summer or ovulatory phase I can multitask easily. My actions are effective. I love life and people. So it's a very powerful phase for a woman, summer, and it's possibly the one of the four that is more acknowledged by our society. And why? Because a woman is available to anybody during this time. Everything for her is little effort, and she's very energetic and social. So it's the time where she shares all her successes and skills. And so this is something that, of course, is very well welcome. Then we go into autumn, or the premenstrual phase, which is the time to withdraw, and it's the time when the woman speaks one's own mind, revise, has doubts, and analyze things that happened so far. So I get tired easily. I speak my mind. I want to plan better. It's a time of revision. Then the last season is winter, which coincides with menstruation. And I need to rest. I feel slow. I need to hide and meditate. So you might have an idea or infer or understand that winter, it's again a time like autumn that is not very welcome by our society, because it's a meditative state, and the woman prefers to be by herself, and it's a time for her to go inside, because she's becoming more psychic and connected with the spiritual world and connected with her dreams. So it's not as available as during summer. Now I'm going to share with you two other diagrams that I used to use when I was doing the workshop, because it might give you an idea of how this energy unfolds. So in the spring season, which is the pre-ovulatory phase, I put a centrifugal force, because it's a force that naturally takes the woman out into the world. So she's more in a male energy, and like the hunting energy of, the symbol of the hunting man. And it's a phase where she gives. It's a more an outward type of energy. Then we go into the energy of summer, and the ovulatory phase. And again, we are in the same energy, which is male energy. It represents the apex of action. And again, it's an energy that goes outward, and similar to the energy of the sky, which is normally considered as a male energy, and also the energy of the day. Then we go down and we start going through the decline. But with decline, I don't mean a negative energy. It's just the energy which is male leans into the female energy. And so in autumn, the energy that the woman feels is more like a centrifugal force that I don't know if you can see. Centripetal, sorry. It's an energy that draws in, and therefore the woman feels this call to go back to herself. It's similar to the energy of the gatherers, and it's a phase of receiving, not to give. she needs to receive during this phase. Then going down further into the female energy, we go into winter, which is the apex of stillness. It's time to stop, to go inward, and it's similar to the energy of the earth. The sky takes us, is a male energy, the earth energy is a female energy. So more similar to the energy of the night. Now I want to share another diagram that it might make things slightly easier for you as well. So I hope you can all see this, what I'm doing. Okay, now again, starting from spring, pre-ovulatory phase. In this phase, the woman can be very trusting and believes in herself, and so she can fall prey of believing in other people's beliefs too. It's a moment of action, and it's a moment when she's very enthusiastic. So she could be maybe also naive. Then going up in the summer ovulatory phase, we can see that she opens even more. And I put union, oneness. What does it mean? She can melt out into the world and integrate the world into herself. So she's abundant, she shows abundance, she shares easily, she is a master of action, so she can master very well all the things she has to do. Then this energy, as we said, it goes down. And so in the autumn, it starts the revision. So doubt can ensue, and I put distraction, but distraction means undoing, let it unfold, becoming wise. It's critical time. It can be difficult, but if you don't review, you never grow. You never change things for the better. And then the final is the winter time. Again, menstruation time. It's a reset. It's like a moment just for inspiration for the other world, the invisible world. It's time for silence, and it's time for ecstasy, because yes, in this time, women can experience that, and I can witness to that. Now, let's go further. So as you can see, my diagram of the energy of the cycle and the inner coach, the full female cycle is the perfect representation of the symbol of the Tao. Half is male energy and the other half is female energy. It is the perfect balance that helps a woman unfold her gifts and become aware of who she is. Mastering these two universal energies inside one's body and mind is a strenuous exercise. And if you consider that it happens 13 times a year for at least 30 years, if the girl and the woman survive sane, she is definitely wise and a force of nature, I would say. It can be strenuous and difficult in the best of situations. Imagine if by any chance health challenges come in the midst of it all, or even pregnancies. I think it is a humongous monthly initiation that happens every month for a woman. Spends over the time of a few decades. It depends, it differs from woman to woman. And becoming a mother too is also a big initiation. But because I haven't been a physical mother in this life, I prefer to leave this part out of honesty. I personally think that motherhood is possibly the biggest of all. And for this reason, I think women should be revered and considered sacred beings and not objects, as in many cultures are still seen today, objects of pleasure and tools for procreation. Epstein, anybody remember? Any woman aware of her female cycle can deepen the knowledge of herself physically, emotionally, psychologically, and spiritually. Respecting the rhythm of the female cycle helps a woman become acquainted with herself intimately and profit from the natural forces already at work in her body. Even though society conditions women to be always available, wear multiple hats at the same time, and of course disregard their own needs and put first, obviously, other people's need or the family's. For a woman to become aware of how nature builds her biologically and respect her inner rhythm is a courageous deed to do in our society. And I think this inner awareness is connected to our spiritual evolution. I mean, the spiritual evolution of women, and obviously also the spiritual evolution of humanity at large. The energy of a woman will affect her partner, the children, colleagues, her friends, relatives, etc. Therefore, men are affected and involved too in this cycle, but the majority of them are simply unaware of it. And if they were knowledgeable about it, I think our society would be more peaceful and happier, for sure. So now I would pass to the menopause phase. That I will also call it the change for short. So there is so much noise about this phase of womanhood, and I consciously decided to have the privilege to discover it firsthand without being prepared too much by reading books or going to workshops. I thought that I had already picked up too much unsolicited information on the way, simply by living through social conditioning, social media, coming across articles in magazines, and listening to other women's stories. Therefore, I thought to give myself the luxury of my menopausal adventure and explore it firsthand without too much preparation and preconception. Once again, I want to highlight the fact that what I'm sharing is very personal and not necessarily is valid for all women, because we all have a personal journey in this life, either we are men or women, and so it can differ a lot, like the number of cycles one woman goes through in her life, or how she faces the different initiation, etc. The point of sharing all of this is that not every woman dares to say it as it is or wants to share such personal details with the world. Nevertheless, I think it is important, especially in this time and age, in which people at large are reviewing many aspects of so many subjects that have been misread or misinterpreted. And I think this is a very positive thing. Otherwise, we'll keep living with enormous bias that refrain us from growing at all levels. Just a few words, first of all, to explain what menopause is, because it might not be clear to everybody. So, it is a phase containing 3 stages: the pre-menopausal or perimenopausal years, which are the years preceding the menopause, which is the last menstruation a woman has, the period when this happens, because it doesn't happen overnight, so it can take some time, and a few years immediately after. So all this period together, it can be referred also as the climacteric or climateric. It depends if you're British or American. The process of the change or menopause is parallel or similar to the process of an initiation, which in itself has 3 stages: isolation, death, and rebirth, or we can call it also regeneration or reintegration. So let's start with perimenopause. The preamble of menopause are the perimenopausal years that are super interesting indeed. I experience them as if I were going back in time, regressing swiftly to my adolescence with all its tumultuous issues. All of a sudden, all those unsolved problems come back, and the woman has got a chance to look at them with a hindsight, with a bit more perspective. It is a very interesting process. Besides a tons of memories coming back with a vengeance, emotions take front stage and diplomacy disappears. It is a very liberating time. It is a chance to review and heal, process the past, and digest it a bit more, if not all. I experienced the perimenopause as a stretched premenstrual phase of the female cycle. It is a time for oneself and inner work. And it might be the reason why many couples don't pass the test and break up when the woman goes through perimenopause or menopause. This is just an observation. It is very interesting to feel in one's teens again, but being in one's late 40s or 50s. I find it wonderful and very inspiring. It feels like starting all over again, but with a bit of experience, unlike when one is in one's teens, who hasn't got a clue about anything and feels pushed to pretend that it's all fine, just to deflect the attention on oneself. It's all fine. Are you fine? Yes, I'm fine. Anger management was fun with awareness. It can be very inspiring and an eye-opener. I wish I had the experience that I have now accumulated through decades of inner work when I was younger. Life would have been much easier. But maybe I wouldn't have become the woman I'm now. And if I hadn't made all those mistakes on the way, maybe I would be somebody different. So maybe it's good this way. Like the premenstrual phase, perimenopause is me time. It means my needs, my dreams, my visions and projects, my therapy and my happiness. It is wonderful, liberating, and feeling like a butterfly, flying here and there and everywhere, just for the fun of it. Let's look at the less enticing side of it. It is crunch time. Energy is going low. And as a consequence of this, perspective might become narrow or even not existing. So everything feels in your face. The volume is amplified and one feels under the weather most of the time. Oh, joy and delight. How nice that is. Initiations are never easy, nor are reviews of one's issues. The little girl inside the grown-up woman is crying at this time and wants to be picked up by mommy and be consoled. That is why it is not a good idea to take care of others in this phase of one's life. because there is inner business to be done rather than taking care of others as usual. It is very useful to be a good observer rather than trying to fix oneself during this phase. The more one observes, the easier the solution comes in its own time. And it is really a time when so many eureka moments can happen, if only one takes some time off. As during the menstruating years, a woman can learn about her body and how it changes during the inner season. So now, in perimenopause, one has to pay attention to the cycle and at the same time perceive the underlying tone that is becoming more and more pervasive in one's mood, body, and mind. It's a real labor of love. It is a time of dissolution and letting go. If one is a mother, this phase can coincide with the emptying of the nest, which can accentuate the process of loss and dissolution. Also, having more time to oneself and no escape except to use one's energy to look at one's life experience can be daunting indeed. But if one is willing to do the work, it can be extremely revealing and satisfying. So I want to say a few words about the physical changes happening during this time. So, hot flashes and chills, night sweats, palpitations, emotional sensitivity, change in the sleeping pattern, lack of concentration and will, irritability. The cycle becomes erratic and unpredictable. It can be just spotting or flooding with clotting, having intervals and restarting. So then we have the joy of menstrual cramps might show up even if they weren't there before, and we need to slow down. There can be weight gain, breast pain, feeling bloated, digestive problems, constipation, overeating, bladder weakness, mind fog, or going completely blank for no good reason at the least unexpected moment. Depression, lack of libido, loss of identity, fatigue, headaches, and innumerable others, as there are women on this earth. I hope the list didn't scare you too much. So now let's pass to the menopause phase, which is the second part of the menopausal initiation. So menopause is the stop of the menstrual cycle. This time is comparable to death, a death happening at all levels that leads to the birth of a new self. In my case, while I was approaching menopause, I lost first my dad, and 6 months later, my mother. So it was a very dramatic and noticeable event for me. A real physical and emotional death, I have to say, or I could call it a double whammy. When one approaches death, one has a tendency to retreat from the world and take care of inner business. So a woman at this time feels the need to let go of her public figure and become more solitary. Sometimes it is the woman herself going into hiding, as in the premenstrual phase and during her winter season. Or sometimes external circumstances can help her do that because her husband leaves, her children grow up and move away, her work might change or disappear for different reasons. Friends might migrate to other countries, or any other reason can happen during this initiatory time. In my case, I broke up from my partner, and then I lost both of my parents during the time of the pandemic, or I prefer to call it COVIDiocy. So I had plenty of opportunities to be isolated, and then if that wasn't enough, I decided to change continent and to have a new start in life, and I came to Mexico. When one is alone, it is easier to face this big change because this change may involve chaos at different levels, not just physical. So if one is alone, one doesn't need to justify it to others. Inner death is not something so easy to face. Forget about explaining it to others. So to tackle can be hard enough and like an initiation, and it requires to be alone. It can be collective. It's not a collective journey, it's a personal journey. So in my experience, what I did, I allow the big forces of change to go through me and observe them, bringing about all sorts of thoughts, memories, reflections, ideas, plans, and pains that had to be soothed, dramas to be dismantled and digested, insights showing up out of the blue, and had time to simply reflect in solitude. Well, doing all of this in a new country by traveling alone might not be the easiest of things, especially in Mexico. It is definitely not a country conducive to meditation. It is indeed very noisy and chaotic. The American herbalist Susan Weed compares the menopausal hot flashes to the Kundalini energy rising. I like the idea of having a chance to get enlightened courtesy of nature, rather than seeing hot flashes as inconvenient and something to be repressed. It's free enlightenment. Although this parallel might sound exotic and intrinsic, I have to report that facing hot flashes in UK was much easier than in sunny tropical Mexico. Personally, I think that nature knows what she's doing. So I try to broaden my Western mind, conditioned by allopathic medicine that has done its best to see women's health as something to be controlled and medicated as much as possible. Indian yogis looked to move their kundalini with yoga and other practices to get enlightened. And women have this chance handed on a silver plate at menopause, but are led to believe that they need medication to go through this fault, apparently caused by nature. How can it be? I don't think so. I find very difficult to believe this, and so the nature is faulty. And I trust fully my body wisdom. And I've been observing what has been happening through my last few years and can report that some faculties are showing up more and more, like being psychic, feeling and seeing through people, like knowing when they are lying or what they are about to say. Intuition gets surely heightened during the menopausal change and gets better and better. Telepathy also shows up now and then and offers a deep sense of what is coming, coming ahead in your life. For instance, in Native American Indian cultures, older women were revered and consulted about important decisions that the nation's chiefs might have to take. So I wonder, might it be our Western society is actually afraid of the acquired powers that Crohn's have? You can answer this question. Crohn is a term that is generally used to define an older woman or a woman who retains her blood. In other terms, a postmenopausal woman or a woman who is familiar with the Kundalini surges, vulgarly called hot flashes. Another effect of the big change is experiencing very vivid dreams or having the revelatory dreams about oneself or other people. The initiatory part of the menopause itself is death, and my experience has been an increase in thoughts about death, not because I was feeling suicidal, but as a normal thought coming and going as any other object of contemplation. Contemplating one's death is a common spiritual practice in many spiritual traditions and is part of rituals of passage in native culture. A woman who has given birth either to children or to herself now is going through a spiritual death to be able to be born again. The physical hot flashes burn any redundant layers of conditioning and formal mask that protected the woman's true self from being seen. The sacred inner fire is eliminating all layers that refrain from being totally oneself, bearing naked one's own deepest emotion and beliefs. So, like the phoenix, a menopausal woman goes through the menopausal initiation to be reborn from her ashes to give birth to a new self. So the hot flashes bring the fire of purification. It seems to me that because of this abundant fire energy going through a woman's body at this time, naturally she might have symptoms like night sweats, dry eyes, dizziness, dry mouth, formication sensations, dry skin, and an emotional uproar like wildfire exploding in yourself. The mother identity gives way to the identity of the crone who knows and honors death because she has known and given life before. But our society doesn't have a good relationship with death, therefore ignore this stage of a woman's life. Facing one's own death, whether real or symbolic, is an emotional, intense experience. Being able to do this, albeit the societal disapproval, is an act of great courage which will strengthen the woman's psyche for her last stage of her life. It is like the proof of the fire, the ultimate test indeed. When anger and grief are repressed for too long, the result is depression that can surge at this point in time. It is a form of protection from the frustration of not being able to be heard. Feel the grief or anger might put the woman in danger. So what happens is depression kicks in, is a protection. It is a warning to pay attention, though. It's a warning to pay attention to what has been repressed for too long in one's life and is not being integrated when it occurred. So it's a protection, but it's also a warning for a woman when this shows up. Menopause gives us an opportunity to integrate what we have disregarded because too difficult to be processed on the spot. During the menstrual years, a woman might cry unspeakably and unexpectedly just before entering her winter season, the menstrual phase of a cycle. But what differs now is that now during the menopause, she just cries without having the relief of starting then the menstrual flow. It is like a never-ending cry that has no reason, when in fact, the underlying cause is witnessing one's own youth, demise, so the loss of the youth, feeling the grief of the mother that has lost her own child, feeling the death of the potential which never unfolded for her, the life that was never given, the children that were never born or that died, the grief of all women who have been repressed or killed. Being able to feel the grief and hold it without dying is part of the initiation of menopause. Feeling afraid for a reasonable reason or not is also part of the initiation. So anxiety might pop up out of the blue. Feeling extremely nervous as almost impossible to bear it. It is all part of the integration process. So integrating those parts that have been repressed or put on hold because at the time the psyche couldn't take it. It was too much. Now nature offers us another chance to integrate all that was pushed away or ignored to acquire more self-knowledge and self-awareness. So with more self-awareness comes a heightened sensitivity, being able to feel the sound and taste of all life, see beyond the veil and in other dimensions. It is an expansion of all senses that in nature means survival, but being oversensitive in our society is seen as a burden or as an inconvenience. When nights turn into days because you are awake, it means that it is time for you to be awake and alert, watching out for insights, starting living in the eternal present without referring to clocks can ease this time of life. Inner time is as strong as the striking of a clock, but needs to be felt rather than looked at. We look at the clock, but we can only feel our inner time. It is more like a kind of sensation that the menopausal woman learns to appreciate and manage more and more as the menopausal change unfolds. The more one is capable to relax, the more the fatigue disappears, and the quicker the change will happen smoothly and swiftly. But I have to say that being able to relax when all these symptoms I listed here happen at the same time is not a small feat. The change happens by itself, so resisting it makes it slower and more difficult to endure and almost impossible to enjoy. Not wanting it to be over or just wanting it to go, it doesn't help to alleviate the change. It is a bit like labors during childbirth. It must be faced a push at a time, knowing that quitting is not an option. But unlike giving birth to a baby, this time the woman doing the effort gives birth to one's own next self, a higher version of herself. Having said all this, it is still daunting to feel one's body change so dramatically from the inside out and not knowing what to do. At times might feel as if an alien is growing from the inside and you don't know whether you will ever come to terms with it. Will it be a friendly alien or a hostile one that at some point will take over or kill you? While one is through the initiation, one is in the dark, and the allure of the rebirth and the end is not a guarantee. It is like the transformation that the planet is going through right now. We have been told thousands of times that we will enter the golden age, but still there is no guarantee because it depends on all of us living on the planet. The transformation of the menopause is a bit similar. It can be a good one, but there is no guarantee and needs the contribution of all the parts of the body. None is excluded. So, like for the birth of the baby, it can be easy and quick, or it can be long and difficult. There's no rule. Every birth is different, and so is menopause. As the mother will never be like the maiden she used to be, so the woman, once she's through the initiation of menopause, will never be like the woman who was before. There is no way back, and it can be painful and very daunting. Societal interference with motherhood is as bad as with menopause. It is huge, with the difference that motherhood, although is interfered and is medicated, but is welcome. Whereas the crown is seen as a danger and not welcome at all. Therefore, it is down to the wisdom of the baby crown to see through the veil and smoke of societal bias, to validate oneself and be proud of her new self without looking for validation. I call my female cycle my best friend, or I used to call it, and it is not an easy deed to let go of your best friend when you know that it is forever. In the process, it might be even difficult to be aware of what is really happening because there is so much going on at the same time. And so there might be no living due to go to, no departing last words, no farewell. The magnitude of the event comes through the woman's awareness slowly, slowly, a bit at a time. And it may be the least expected moment, like the loss of a loved one. We are not prepared for it. And when we go through it, it can be really difficult. I want to finish with post-menopause. After a year has lapsed since the last menses a woman enters, officially the post-menopause starts, and it might take some time to realize when the last period happened. So one enters this new territory blindly and stumbling in the dark. The woman never knows when is going to be her last cycle. This new reality, as daunting as it might be at first, grows slowly but steadily into a woman's consciousness. And within time, one realizes that one is not a maiden or a mother any longer, but a crone who is a woman of wholeness, of wisdom, that in herself has got all the experiences of the woman's journey and can now use them at will whenever she wants. Her life is not tied to the moon cycle any longer, but tied to the bigger cosmic cycles of life. The crone is a woman of life and death at the same time because she knew them both. She can give birth to whatever she wants. She becomes the guardian of younger generation of virgins and of mothers-to-be. She is the guardian of the female wisdom. The crone is not tied to the ebb and flow of the moon, but to the rhythm of her own ocean. She can feel the pulse of the universe. The postmenopausal woman is like a virgin, she who is owned by no one, but she is not a sexually innocent being. Instead, she is the virgin who is aware of life's secrets, freed from any worries about conception, pregnancy, or motherhood. She is now free to impart her wisdom. The distresses of the change are fading. The normal sleeping rhythm comes back. The energy levels and emotional levels are slowly restored, allowing the creative juices to flow again through the crown's veins and psyche. The power of nature blesses the crown and endows her with new gifts. The old witch character is an invention of patriarchy who is afraid of the female wisdom of her later years. It is the personification of the fear of death because life is not respected, and the two are connected. In matriarchal cultures, the beauty of the crowns is respected and legendary. The thin and smooth skin, lined with the experience of life, is valued and not fixed by plastic surgery. The silver hair is not dyed and is a sign of dignity and awe, truth and wisdom, universal love made human. Thanks to the baby boom of the 50s and 60s, there are possibly more than ever before a huge amount of crones on the planet, helping Mother Gaia go through her own death and regeneration, to welcome in a new age, when the life-giving female principle will be respected and protected fiercely by the male principle, now ready to resume his own divine role as the cosmic protector of life. This has been long and a winding journey so far, and it can be easy to lose oneself in it, as women do in real life. I'm one of them, but I did my best to make it as short and succinct as possible, sharing as much as I could. I would like to leave you with the question. As everything in life is symbolic and has a spiritual implication, I want to ask you, what is the purpose of the female journey? What is her legacy? I hope that my share might help you to have an insight in the life of a woman, if you're a man, and if you're a woman, maybe this overview might give you insights in your own life so far, or the life of older women who you had the privilege to know in your family or in your community. I would like to share quickly before finishing some pictures of the goddesses in different culture, and they are not in chronological order because anyway, as you know, we don't really know about the chronology of anything these days. So I will just do a slideshow of them, and I hope you enjoy them. Last into, where is it? Oh, I can't see it. Oh, wait, how do I share the picture? How do I share this? I don't know how to share the picture, Antonio. Can you help me?
Well, it's the same as sharing the other stuff.
Can you see it?
No.
Okay. Okay. Can you see it?
Not yet. Okay, now, yeah.
You can see it now.
Yeah, but it's just the thumbnail, so you need to click on the first one so it can.
Is it big enough?
No. Well, Yeah, well, I can see, but I don't know if others can.
Okay.
Take it the picture
can
so
you-
see if it becomes larger. Mhm.
larger?
Yes, just click on the picture twice.
Double
But
click.
I am already on the picture.
Double
Okay.
click on it, maybe.
We're seeing it.
I will send them to Antonio, who can send them to you. So okay, I want to just tell you what they are. Okay, wait. So let's start with this one.
You could right click and go to open.
I
Or
don't know.
abrir. Right click and open.
Or double click on the image and see what happens.
Double click.
Okay,
that's
wait
simple.
a second. Wait a second. Maybe I have an idea. Let's see if I do this. And can you see this picture or not?
No,
No.
because it's another window. You have to share the
Okay.
application that is seeing the
Okay.
image.
I think I okay. Okay. Can you see it?
Yes.
Ah, I'm sorry about the technology glitch.
No problem.
Okay. Okay. So this is a Neolithic Egyptian bird lady. Pre-dynastic Egyptian bird lady is apparently 5,000 years old and is terracotta. And it's a figurine that is being put into between the 3,500 and 3,400 BC. And it's stylized and it's got a face which is a big-like face and has got raised arm and was found in 1907 in Mamaria tomb in Upper Egypt. Then I am going to share with you this one, which is a very nice one. How do I do it? Can you see it?
No.
Okay. I have to do it all the time, so so this is big enough to see?
Yeah.
Okay. This is Isis nursing Horus. It's a very common symbol of motherhood in ancient Egypt. I don't know exactly the age of this one because there are thousands of them and they're all different, and I don't know this specific one, what's the age, but I just thought pertinent to have it because it's a very symbolic goddess. And then I show you this one. Okay, this one, it's, can you see it? It's big enough?
Yeah.
This one is, it's very interesting. It's a Minoan snake goddess figurine, and it was excavated in 1903 in the palace of Knossos in Crete, which is a Greek island in the Aegean Sea, and dates back apparently to 1600 before Christ. So then we have this beautiful one that I'm sure everybody knows. This one is the famous Nike or Nike of Samothrace in English. Maybe in Spanish it's Samotracia, like in Italian. And it dates back to 190 before Christ and was discovered in 1863 on the island of Samothrace. Then I want to show you this one. is possibly maybe one of my favorite. It's so laborious, I'm sorry about this. This one, can you see it? It's quite famous. It's the Venus of Willendorf. It's a Venus figurine, and it was well estimated being made 30,000 years ago. It was recovered in 1908 in a village in Lower Austria. Then I have this one for you. Okay. This one is okay, maybe big enough. Can you see it?
Yep.
Okay, this one it's from Katal Yuk or Yuyuk, or sorry, it's Turkish. I'm not Turkish. And it's a seated woman and depicts a corpulent and fertile mother goddess in the process of giving birth while seated on the throne. It was found in 1961 in Turkey, and apparently is dated 6000 BC. Then I have only another. I'm trying to go to this one. This one. This one, big enough.
Yep.
This one is it's called the Göbekli Tepe Lady or Venus. And here again, I couldn't find when it was found, but it's estimated to be 12,000 years before Christian era, so before Christ. This one is called the Venus of Dolní Věstonice. It's Czech language, so sorry for the pronunciation. It's a Venus figurine as dated to 31,000, 27,000 years ago and was found in South Moravia in 1925. And I want to share with you just one last one because I explained to you why I want to share this with you. Okay, this one, can you see it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this one is the Kali, the Hindu goddess that symbolizes the destruction of evil. It also symbolizes liberation and the end of illusion. She appears fearsome, but she is worshipped by her worshipper as a motherly figure who eradicates ego and protects her devotees. Now, the reason why I want to oh, wait a second. Can you still see the picture thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. The reason why I wanted to share this as to end is because as you can see, all these symbols, if we take all these statuettes and take them as symbol of humanity, okay? We don't really know the time. We don't really know if the history we studied at school was right or not. And so there's a big confusion, and just as well that we are reviewing everything now. But it seems to me that all those Venuses or goddesses, they weren't what we these days we think as beauty. They didn't look like something sex appeal or a sex object or anything like that. And including Kali as last is the symbol, a very powerful symbol of what the female energy is. It's an energy that, especially in a woman during the menopause, comes forth because it's an energy of birth and death at the same time. So I just thought it would be food for thought, and I'm sorry that it's been longer than I envisaged, much longer. And I want to thank you for listening to me, and may the goddess bless you 1,000 times on your awakening path. Namaste. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gabriella. It was an amazing presentation. I just want to thank you for this. And now let's go to the questions. So anyone that wants to
maybe by now everybody's fallen asleep. There's no question anymore.
I don't think so. Well, a few ones had to leave already, but well, we have
no, I am available for any question. I can stay if you want to.
Yeah. So you know the drill. Anyone that wants to ask a question, please raise your electronic hand and I will call them. Okay, Janine and JP, hi. You are very, very far away from us.
Yes, it's very, very early here, but it was.
It's worth it.
Yes.
It's worth it. It's very interesting.
Thank you, Gabriella. It was a beautiful presentation. Beautiful presentation. I have no questions. I have a lot of recognitions. And I only wished I had this information sooner or earlier in life. That would have made my life so much easier and so much more respectable about the feminine energy, which is in every person. If you're a man or a woman, it doesn't matter. We all have both energies in us. If the men would, how do you say, invite their own feminine energy, life would be so much better. I only want to tell a small story about my history. When I was young, I went to a boys' school when I was very young, at 16. So imagine how much suppressed my feminine energy was, and there was no space for the monthly cycle. It was like it wasn't there.
After school, because it was a technical
school, because I went to go to a technical school. I learned about construction. After that, I started working in construction. Only men. Only men. So it was really, really tough. Now, on hindsight, it was even tougher than I thought it was when I was in the middle of it, because then you survive, you try to make it work, you think you have to be strong on every level of life, and you are strong, you can do many things. But of course, those experiences took away some other vital parts of my feminine life, I think. I also haven't become a physical mother, but I always had the wish to raise children, like adoption. So I'm still thinking about adoption, and it's always in my mind. So if something happens, then we are open to have children in our life, in our heart, in our home, in our minds. But let's see, I'm still happy the life I live. But your information is so valuable, and it's like everything falls into place with which I already knew, but you put words into it. So it confirms my feeling, and it's really beautiful. And I invite all the men also to reflect on this and see what it has done for them and in their own life, because I'm sure men have this feminine energy too, not in the cycle like you say it, but we are all the same. And yes, it would have, life can be so beautiful, like you say, if we would only embrace this beautiful feminine energy, because in the end, the woman is the one that creates new life, and the men should protect new life at all costs. And we are now on the other side of the world, and we see here that the men don't protect the women. The women here are even in danger. And that's really a pity to see. And I hope when we are stepping into this new world, which we are all waiting for it to come, and we have to be the foremothers and the forefathers, because we have this energy and we have this knowledge now. We hold this new energy, and we know we have to be on a high vibrational energy, and only to invite love and spread love through every cell in our body, that we will have a beautiful future. And I hope we are on the moment now. So I think your presentation couldn't be, for me, on a better moment. And I thank you for that from the bottom of my heart. Really, thank you.
Thank
you
you
very
for listening.
Thank you, Janine.
I like also to give my feeling about the information that you share with us, and I really like to thank you as a man, because for me it's very interesting to hear your story and your explanation. I spoke with Janine for many years about all these kind of things, and as a man, I remember very well that as a younger man, I had conversations with friends of me. If many times, if there's like a birthday party or something, the tables are like separated during the evening, and the men are together talking about man things, and the women are together. And I remember very well that for me, those parties were very boring, because of the most of the time it was about just talking about ego things. And as a young man, of course, I had also my ego, and it was also a part in my life to show off as a man, a young man, that you are also somebody. But very young, I already felt like that I had much more a click with the women than with the men. So for me, I was most of the time sharing more time with the women than with the men. And some friends of me always make jokes with me, because they said, yeah, you just want to be the charming man and just be charming and talking with the women, and you're just interested in the women to see. And I said, no. For me, it was like an internal feeling that I didn't have a really connection. For me, it was nice to talk about motorbikes and cars and drinking beer for some minutes or half an hour. But then I had more deeper conversations with the women than I have with men. And sometimes they make jokes and they say, you like a gay guy because all the gays are talking with the women. And I said, yeah, sure, whatever. But for me, I always had the feeling like women are much more, and I don't mean it rude to us, to men, but I really felt already young that we are so different in a way, but also so similar in a different way. And I always felt, and I said for many years to Janine, like the job that she did in our company that we used to have, and with our job that we did, it was very strong. And I always said, like, in my opinion, many women are, to be honest, much more strong and more they have more possibilities to do different things, and in my opinion, women are very, very strong. And because of your story and your explanation, for me as a man in this life, it felt more honest place, like a puzzle, like the things that you told us. I understand more, like ex girlfriends or ex relationships that I had in the past, why they were reacting in a certain period of time, very emotional, and that I, for example, didn't understand them. why are they crying, for example? And I asked them because I thought it wasn't because of me. And now with your explanation, I think I better understand what could be possible, a deeper reason for them on that period of time, to go through the things that they were going through. And it was nothing about me. It was different. So, and I also was thinking about my mother, that I didn't have a very good relationship with her, unfortunately. But now, because of your, I was thinking and feeling that I felt like maybe I can work with that and start digesting some things that you told us. And yeah, so I'm grateful about your story and your information. And for me, it doesn't sound really strange. For me, it sounds like was een bevestiging en confirmation about the things and the knowledge that I always had. For me, our women are very special in a good way, not like in a bad way.
Thank you
very
so
much.
much. Thank you to you
Thank you.
for
Thank you,
sharing your
JP.
feedback, because the purpose of this for me it's really difficult, I have to say, because it's very personal stuff, and also I think because it's stuff that has been suppressed. Its ancestral knowledge has been suppressed so widely. I'm sure I've been burned a few times. So every single time, well, I haven't done a talk now for over 6 years, but doesn't matter. Every single time is still the same feeling. And I still think it's important to push through the pain and do it, because to me, if I can even just reach another person or two other people that will have a more kind of balance, equanimous, peaceful, fuller insight about it all, I think it's worth it, especially now, because we are going through the big change. And I think, as I was saying, I really hope all these crowns are helping Mother Earth in the process.
Yes.
Yes,
Absolutely.
for sure. I think so too. Can I ask you the word? So you say a crown?
Crown, it's a word that is used a lot to, not to say the old woman, the old bag, you know, the witch.
Is it like
it's a more like kind of a neutral term. I don't know the origin of it, but in the English-speaking world, it's a word that is used to signify an experienced elderly woman who is in the postmenopausal years. So she has already gone through the last initiation of her life. Well, there is still death, but you know, let's skip that one. But it's really like going through death, but you're aware.
Janine just posted the crone.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, okay.
Yes, exactly.
This is the correct way. That.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Thanks. JP, the fact that you mentioned your mother, maybe think about mine, and maybe I will. After this, I will have a better understanding of the relationship that we never had, and maybe I understand that. I will be able to understand. Thank you for mentioning that. Well, let's go to Antonio and Manuela. Hi.
Hello, good evening. Just to explain the reason why we have maiden, mother, and crown, because the goddess had 3 faces, 3 ages. So in the beginning, she was a maiden. At noon, she became the mother. And we are talking about Hecate, for example. And in the evening, she was the crown. Crown is a very old word, Germanic word, actually, which has a very big impact, actually. It means someone with wisdom and knowledge and who walks both worlds, the world of the living and the world of the dead. And that's it. It's quite interesting, really. And we have forgotten that. We have to reunite again with that goddess. Right. Thank you, Gabriella. I loved it.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you, Manuela.
Thank you, Manuela. Anyone else? So many women here and no questions. Oh, Ingela, go ahead.
Thank you, Gabriella. Very interesting. Maybe you said it in so many words, but still the question of why appears in my head. Why did we need to go into all these things with the woman? I mean, the man becomes wise living in his years without all of these things. But why does the woman need to have all these things to be wise?
Oh, it's a good question, Ingela. I asked myself the same question many, many times. I didn't do the design. I wasn't called in the room, in the boardroom, you know, when they decided how to design women. I don't know. And also, it seems that there's more and more knowledge coming through that we are a genetic experiment. So it seems that it could be that many people have a go at us, right?
Okay.
So I don't know. I really have the same question as you. And the bigger question to me is the title of my talk, you know. And the last question I left you all with, what's the meaning of it all? What's the spiritual journey of woman? And I think I have my answer, but I think because every woman's journey is personal, I think every woman has got one's own answer, and possibly every man too, you know. But if we are not exposed, open to what the facts are, to what's happening, you know, it's very little. There's very little open talk about this type of subjects because menstruation is a taboo. Sex used to be a taboo, but now it's still a taboo because it's overexposed, it's reduced to nothing, it's shredded, right? And so something that is treated that way is still a taboo because it's got power. And so either you hush, put it under the carpet, or you talk about it all the time. It's the same. It means there is still repression. And what is my personal opinion? What I think happened to us as humanity, all these subjects were sacred subjects dealt with women, handed over, you know, orally through the female lineage. And then something must have happened. I don't know what exactly. Because, for instance, in Göbekli Tepe, which is in the Anatolian Peninsula, it seems that it was a matriarchal society, culture, and it just disappeared as out of nowhere. So it might be that one day we will discover really what happened. It was like it was not flooded. When you throw soil into something, so it will disappear, you know. And this, it seems that that's what happened. So I just wonder, you know, maybe hopefully soon we'll understand, because some answer will happen, will come into the open. I really hope so.
Thank
But I
you.
don't know.
Yeah.
That's why I'm asking all of you, what's the answer? What's the spiritual journey of a woman?
Yeah. Thanks for your talk.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ingela. Well, before I pass to Anashora, Jane, you had your hand raised, so are you still you still want to make a question?
Oh, just thank you, Antonio. Just very briefly, I want to thank you, Gabriella, for this talk. I found it really, really illuminating and helpful. And I'm way past the stage of menopause in my life, but I'm going through a deep transformation through illness. And you helped me see the significance of that in the evolutionary life of coming into a place of much deeper silence and wisdom and understanding. That's just part of a cycle that I'm seeing also in several of my friends, my women friends. The other comment I wanted to make briefly is I'm American and moved to Britain about 15 years ago. And I just wanted to make a comment about how surprised I've been at the misogyny in this country. I was raised in a rather liberal family in the States, and it's really surprising. And a lot of what you said has been in the background of my life here. And I thank you for reawakening that. So thank you.
Thank you, Jaina. I tell you something, I would like to share something with you about this. I'm originally Italian, and I moved to UK in my early 30s. And I thought, you know, I was born in the most repressed country in the world because it's Catholic and because it's the seat of the Pope and all the rest you can imagine, right? So off I went to UK thinking the most liberal place in Europe and blah, 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 to find out just the opposite. I couldn't believe it. And I tell you something else, what shocked me the most, it was to perceive and see with my own eyes the lack of self-awareness in British women. And I was just like, I couldn't believe it. I was just like, I know, must be a joke. It can't be real. And then in the beginning, I could understand, you know, I was cautious. And then all these men being so flattering with me. And I thought, well, they just do it because I'm a foreigner. And so, but within time, I understood certain things. And they were right. But I find that super cruel. Because, hello, if women here are like this, maybe there's a reason. They're trying to survive. So, but anyway, I just thought to share this with you as I lived over 20 years in UK.
Oh my. Oh, well, thank you for your insight and your sharing.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anna. Hi.
Oh, hi. Hello.
Hello.
I thank you for your presentation. It was really nice to hear someone who talks about the imaginary of and then the archetypes of female. You know, I just entering the last few minutes because I was in another meeting. So I think you were talking about the Virgin Mother Crown archetypes, were you? Yeah, that's what
the Virgin is well, if you join at the end, maybe you just saw the picture of the goddesses.
Anna,
Yeah,
the
that's
recording
it.
will be available. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you
So
have a question, please do ask.
no, I was just going to make a comment because yeah, some people didn't or never heard of the word before, but that was so familiar to me because actually I made all the research for my PhD long ago about this subject because I analyzed the role of the female characters in the maturation of the Arthurian knights. So yeah, that you really reminded me of everything that I read and studied long ago, and I would like to thank you for, bringing this subject to this group.
Thank you. But if you want to share maybe what your work, I would be very interested in reading it.
I mean, it's not published for yet for economical reasons. It's actually very it's something this size, so it requires lots of money to publish a work like this in Portugal. So maybe someday, but yeah, this is a subject that really means a lot to me. So
Well, maybe we can have a chat if you want one day.
yeah,
And compare notes.
Okay.
and yeah.
But thank you for coming.
Yeah.
And maybe you can watch the recording and then maybe we can have a chat if you want to. I would be delighted.
Okay. Anna, as soon as the recording is done, I will upload it to the cloud and then I will share it with everyone that wants to have it. Okay. Thank you. Kike, it's your turn.
Well, okay. Well, I sort of was thinking of things that have been mentioned a couple of folks back, but first of all, the lens that our world is living in presently, most of the world, not all of the world, is a male lens, the patriarchy. So this is not new information in terms of women's actual place in the world and historical place. There's a book called When God Was a Woman by Merlin Stone, which is very interesting, very illuminating. I recommend it if anyone's interested. Not a new book. And that's just came to mind because of, I'm not sure, people have made multiple comments, but also this is, someone said, why men grow and become wise. Why do women have to go through all of this? Well, what Gabriella Liberty, what you're presenting is personal, which you said at the beginning. This is not fact. This is your interpretation of this journey, your own. And it's not every woman's journey. It is not the experience of every woman going through this journey. And I think that is, I think the presentation is really interesting because this is your experience. You're expressing your experience of this physical thing that we do, that is women do, that is bigger than a simple physical experience, but the interpretation is yours. It is not every woman's. So I don't think that women need to necessarily go through all this suffering to become wise. And that's just my personal opinion. And someone asked the question earlier, so that's what I wanted to respond to. And also the fact that it almost, for some people, it's like new information that women used to run the world. They did. Matriarchies were, men's roles were very different. Women's roles were very different. And this is a very long time ago. I'm good at concept. I'm not good at detail. So if folks can Google whatever. So that's all I wanted to say. And I really appreciate the subject matter and the discussion, of what, because it brings things to the surface that maybe some people haven't thought about, some people do think about, some people, it's very present, and for others, it's not very present, men and women, we're all humans, and we share more than I think we don't, even though our present world would say, no, we're very, very, human beings are. But again, as you said, Liberty, we're like an experiment or something. I forget how you said it, but yeah, I'll leave it there. And thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. Sandy.
Yes.
That's you.
Two things. One, I prefer the Australian idiom, the fact that instead of being a crone, I'm an old chook. That, crone gives me negative vibes, but should be right. I was born in England right after the war. The war in England changed a great deal we were a royalist country. I don't know. I know there were others, but I only had the experience of England. It was a very basic. There were houses that didn't have bathrooms. I know my uncle used to go to the public baths and take a bath on a Saturday. But when the war came and the Americans came, things changed, literally. Now, I'm the result of a liaison between an American soldier and an English woman. And there were a lot of that. And the women actually began to understand their sexual freedom. I remember, my mother had rules, this, and this. And I guess myself and my sisters were so different from my mother. We used to call her the Virgin Queen, like Victoria. But from my youth onwards, things became so different. Now, I didn't have a very good beginning because I'm a survivor of a pedophile group. So that distorted my whatever, but I was still able to, think about things as they grew up. Then I went to Australia. Australia is a she'll be right, mate country. It's just the women and the men are fairly equal in their activities, being multicultural. It just sort of made a mishmash. And even though the men were full of ego and libido and whatever else you want to call it, the women still stood their place. When I came here, it was a pretty shock to my system. It was like a throwback of a different era. The innocence of like with the war, I did counselling in Australia with those that came from Vietnam. And I had a few Americans that were on that came to Australia after the war. And for them, it was really new. It was something they'd never dealt with. That they were raised by women who were strong, who had ideals, but weren't closed. And I came from a world where everything was closed. Luckily I was psychic, so I could learn from my mother's mind instead of her mouth. But the lady from Findhorn, we learned to still tongue makes a wise head. The only thing in Australia, in England, was keeping up with the Joneses. There were different classes, and different classes were allowed to do what they the upper class could do what they want. The middle class had to work their tails off, and the lower class couldn't afford anything to do it. And just one more thing, sorry. Remember that in the olden times, men were warriors. They would go out and hunt and go fight wars and things like that. The changeover came when now, what is man's place on this earth? And that to me is an interesting concept. I haven't found a man brave enough yet to talk to me about it. But from going from warriors, protectors and whatever, and all of a sudden that duty is taken from them and they're born with a warrior soul. So perhaps some brave man will come forward and do the same thing as you have done. And I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sandy. Florence.
Yeah, good evening and thank you for your talk. I won't go on the historical part, but I think there are, in many cultures, there are always the three women, the young one, the virgin one, the woman who has kids, and the elder woman. And for example, in Greek or in Eurasia culture, there are also in Asia, you have always three goddesses, and they are always the three states of life of a woman, but of life of humanity. And I mean, it's the eternal big cycle. But I just wanted to make a point because I was quite interested when you made a comparison with the death and rebirth, and you were talking in this period of the earth, of a civilization. We are living now in a death, when we are almost living in a near-death experience of our, at least, Western civilization, and also living a rebirth of a new earth. And you made a comparison with old woman and so, and I just thought about something, because since the last few years, we had many huge society events like COVID, but not only. I thought in 2018, sorry, in France, about the Yellow Vest, which who were starting to make huge demonstration. And I remember there were many women, and old women, I would say old, but senior women, demonstrating, meaning that first they had the energy, second they were expressing what they thought, which means that they were not demonstrating for themselves, they were demonstrating for their family, for the society, for something to care about, because it was under threat. And even with the COVID stuff, afterwards in France, for example, we had the sanitary pass, and there was always a demonstration. But if you think about another way of expressing, which is association, and it's not just for these days, it has always been, you will find many women involved in association, societies, and whoever. And I thought that you were right, seeing that once in, let's say, in her 50s, a woman has done her part to raise her children. She's more sensitive, but she's more also available to care about society as a whole. And it would explain also why she's more, I would say, aware of threats, and she's more likely to express and to go out. I mean, it's not I'm not making a percentage or mathematic point. I mean, I just witness it in different society, association, or whatever. And one explanation I read, but it's open to your thoughts, is that because the old world, the old patriarchal, sorry, I can't say the word, patriarchy world is going down. There's less energy, which means that there's a new balance with the feminine energy. So it can now appear and flourish more. And that's the reason why we can see more women, included senior women, I would say, expressing their voice. And I wish Grandma Murara could be here, because in one of her talks 2 years ago, she said also that point in Australia, so that's my point.
Thank you.
Thank you, Florence. Manuel, once again.
Hello.
Antonio.
It's a comment to Gabriella. I don't know if all humans need to go your path to get wiser. But maybe that explains why there are much more wiser women than men. So your symbolism of the rising of the phoenix, it's very very surprising and very strong. So when a woman or a man gets dementia or something like that, that's maybe because they fail to understand that and use that energy. When they fail because they succumb to all what society says we should do when we are old or we should not do. If you succumb to that, of course you will to get a dementia or a cancer or whatever. Your symbolism of the rising of the phoenix is very strong, and it's very important, I think. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Antonio. I never thought of something like that, but it's interesting just to contemplate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, anything is possible. We all have a personal journey, so it generalizes really not very intelligent. But thank you for sharing your view, Antonio.
Thank you.
Of course, all of us all we have, let's say, a level where we begin. We don't born we are not born equal, because they are your social capacity, your individual capacity, or whatever your
DNA,
your DNA, your spiritual objective path or whatever. So some things are easier for some people than others. So it's always individual path. It's not for everyone and equal to everyone. There are one thing is in my area. Let's say there are a Swiss study that says that 2,000 unities of vitamin D lowers the risk for getting breast cancer 83%. There are another study with women exactly with the same 2,000 unities that say, oh, vitamin D is useless. What's the difference? Because if you are in Switzerland, maybe you have a kind of the food you eat, the what you read, what you study, what your level of instruction and so on. That means that when you begin to take those 2000 units of vitamin D, maybe in your blood, you have a level of 30 or 40 nanograms per milliliter. If you make the same study in India, you begin with the same dose, but with people that begins with 10 or 20 nanograms per milliliter, 1/3 or half the dose. So you begin with down. There are these kind of studies are designed to fail. They are designed to fail. So it's not the same take 2000 units a day if you only begin with 10 nanograms of milliliter in your blood, or if you have 50 and begin to take the same 2000 units. So that's not discussed in the second study because it is made by Big Pharma. It's designed to fail. So when you go to that path, when someone goes to your path or similar to your path, where did they begin? I don't know if I'm making me understand. We begin with some level of something, or vibration, of energy, of wisdom, of knowledge, of spirituality. So the level we begin when you begin to wake up, or your process or your pathway, it's not the same for everybody. So what happens with you, it's not the same what happens with the other person at your side. Okay? So that's why it's an individual path, but it can apply to everyone, but by different ways. Okay? That explains why you don't need to go your path to get wisdom. There are many ways to go to Rome. So, but your path is a very interesting one. It's a very difficult one. Maybe you are much more strong because of it. So we are not equal. They sell us we are all equal BS. We are not. So I don't know if I explained myself very well, but okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I think I got your point, but I tried to, for instance, make a list of symptoms that can appear during the menopausal change, not because I had them necessarily, just to explain and give an idea of what can happen during that time in a woman's life, for instance. So I personally, I am one of those very fortunate women that sailed through all my menstruating years very easily, very happily, and very empowered. But still discovering all this that I try to put as succinctly as possible in my talk today, it gave me another level of depth and empowerment, because once you become aware of something, it gives you don't need so much validation from the outside world anymore.
Of course.
And yeah, well, I want to believe that I'm over the big change, but it wasn't an easy path. That bit, it wasn't an easy path. But I know there are all sorts of different experiences out there by different women, because we are all different.
Of course.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Antonio. Mike.
Yeah, thank you, Gabriella. That was a very interesting talk. And thank you for sharing your personal experience. I have to say that obviously, as you say, yours is personal, and in so many different countries and so many different cultures, the paths to wisdom, both for men and for women, are obviously different. And as we know, in indigenous cultures, of course, the woman is the female, divine female is much more respected, as well as the divine masculine. So, you know, there is more balance in the indigenous cultures. But unfortunately, as I understand it, throughout the millennia of humanity, there have been matriarchal societies, you know, large matriarchal societies, and they didn't work out too well because it was imbalance, wasn't balanced. And now it went the other way and became patriarchal, and it wasn't in balance. And so we're ending that. And I think what we're going into now is the balance of masculine and feminine, divine feminine. But obviously, with this latest patriarchal society, which I believe is thousands and thousands of years old, the Satanists who have been in charge for so long, they abhor they can't stand the divine feminine. So that's why the divine feminine has been repressed as far as possible. You know, throughout the ages, it's been done in different ways, not least by calling wise old women witches and burning them at the stake because they were a threat. Yeah. But you know, nowadays, as I'm sure Dr. Antonio can attest, that women are more easily convinced to take medication for all their ills, and so that now they're easily repressed that way. Apart from the sociological and psychological ways, you know, that they put down. But as I understand it, women are very easily the typical, if you like, woman is very easily convinced to take a pill for something more than men. Men sort of like, oh, it'll pass. But as I understand it, women are much more. Well, it's just another way of trying to repress the women. It's been done so many ways for thousands of years in this patriarchal society, and I don't say hopefully, because I truly believe that it is coming to an end. Talking about England, I was lucky. My mother was, you know, I would say an intelligent woman, and I had a you know, a loving upbringing, and a very liberal, you know, open upbringing, and my parents obviously had love for each other at the time. But as I did notice the class differences, of course, you know, in England. Well, I think they're invented class. You know, the lower, upper, and middle class. I was sort of middle class, and I know all the faults of the middle class, you know, goings on in suburbia. So, you know, the middle class did have a bit of free reign to do what they wanted. They just had to be a bit more careful about it, because, you know, the elites, they could do what they want because they were better protected. Of course, the working class aren't protected, and the middle class, they have to make sure that they, you know, they've got friends or in high places. But I was lucky. I met a lot of great women in England, so I can't complain. I didn't see that much repression, although obviously the society was basically repressive of women. But I did meet thankfully a lot of women. Well, we're talking about the 70s, I suppose. So that's, you know, women were starting to get their voice back again. But I'm not sure where I'm going with this. But anyway, thank you for your talk, which did give me a lot of interesting confirmation of things that I've learned throughout the years about women. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Any more questions? So, Gabriella, your last words before we wrap up and close.
I think I'll ask everybody again my question, you know, which was what is the female journey? What is a woman's legacy? judge, and you don't have to answer myself, answer me, but you can just see for yourself what comes up. If you want to, I can share what is my answer. I think the purpose of a woman's life and a woman's journey is to inspire men, because if men are not inspired, they tend to do mischief. And so I think this is my theory. I think we are in dire straits at the moment because women have stopped to be an inspiration for men. But this is just my question, my answer so far, you know. I would love to know your own. If you don't have it, maybe in the future you might have one answer.
Well, I can speak for myself, and I fully agree with you. So anyway, Manuela or Antoni.
I think that the answer, I don't know if it's an answer, but when I see nowadays women in politics, it's a disgrace. So they are worse than men. So I think men should recover their manhood and women should recover their feminine side. So men should be men and women should be women. So we are not opponents. We are complements. Complementary. That's it. Okay, it's assume that and everything will be okay. There's not a war. This is not a war. It's crazy, it's stupid. It's something that has been created artificially.
I agree. I agree.
We are humans. All of humans, I think. I don't know if it's true, but we all want the same. I hope so. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Mike?
Yeah, I've heard it said, and I actually agree that the fairest society will be run by a council of grandmothers, because grandmothers would never send their grandsons to war, and they would respect their grandchildren and their children. So as a, you know, the female wisdom, I think is something special, which would create just and fair societies. But then, you know, hopefully we're coming to a balance where, you know, grandmothers and grandparents can come together, and you know, certainly the wisdom of the older people is important when in a society.
Yeah.
Thank you again.
Well said,
Thank
Mike.
you.
Janine?
I resonate a lot with what you said, Gabriella. I think also it's the creativity and inspiration of a woman. I think if you look to an ordinary man or family, but a man who is successful in life, and then let's say business-wise, almost always there is a very strong woman on his side, or she is the strong mother of the family, but she's always making space and time and energy for her husband to, hoe zeg je floreren? To be productive and successful in life. I have another word in my mind, but I cannot translate it. I don't know the word. I don't know. But to be successful in life, what we call success nowadays, it's not the success.
Blossom. Blossom.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. So he can
Yes.
blossom. And in this life that we are living now, but in that relationship together, the whole family blossoms. But it's most of the time a strong woman aside of the man. But I think also women are maybe I don't want to be judgmental, but maybe more have more the ability to live their own lives and have a happy life. And men maybe more often need this woman to have this happy life, because maybe the woman is stronger, as we are speaking about it already now in many talks from the people, that women are strong and are capable and very creative. And she's the creative person, like she's giving birth to new life. So she is like making new life, and she cannot do it without the men, and the man cannot do it without her. So that's the only way of having new life, is if men and women cooperate. And if we do it together in the most beautiful way, then we are in balance, and both men and women have the best life that we can envision ourselves. And hopefully we are receiving this in the near future. But I think it's what I completely resonate with you, what you said, like the inspiration. And I think as long as we can inspire men, and we do it from our heart, and the men receive it from their heart, then they're both in balance. Yeah. So
wonderful.
Thank you.
Well explained. Thank you.
Thank you, Janine. And Mike, one last time.
Sorry, just to get one last word, as you. No, I have to say that my upbringing was a bit like that. My mother was a strong woman, but she gave up her profession. She was a fashion designer. She gave up her profession to be a mother and support my father. And there was a lot of love when I was growing up as a child. And so I can agree that is very good in a family. It's very good when there's a balance of not too much on one side or the other. So she was very supportive of my father, and he was supportive of her. She didn't stop having a life. She just stopped her professional life, if you like. But she had a full life. She was always helping with other people and clubs and charities or whatever. But it's yeah, the support. But it needs both support from one to the other. It can't be just one-sided.
And that is born out of the presence of respect that should be natural thing.
Yeah. I can say that I'm thankfully I am a love child. My parents loved each other when they so that's why I know maybe helped me along the way, helped me start off in life in a positive way. I can understand that lots of people don't have that advantage. I didn't have that advantage, but it certainly helped me.
I think I'm a love child too. Even though my parents, I wouldn't agree on everything about their relationship, but they spend the whole life together, and they were one of those old type of old-fashioned family, And definitely, I was the result of some love.
Yeah, unfortunately, I found out that after I left, things didn't work out too well in the end, but they were together till the end. But it wasn't as pure as it was when I was around. If you like, when I was young. Still, that's each one has their own personal journey.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that we come to an end. Once again, thank you very much, Gabriella. This was well, I would say totally unexpected presentation. I had some expectations, but I didn't know how far this would go. It was amazing. And after 2.5 hours, we are still here. And anyway, thank you so much.